Hello, I'm William Michael, the headmaster of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and it's August 6th, 2025, and we're getting ready for a new school year. The fall term in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy begins on Monday, September 1st, so we're really in the midst of all of our administrative preparation to get everyone off to a good start this year. One of the important topics that I'd like to make sure parents understand so they can consider and make good use of it is tutoring, which is available either through private tutoring sessions or through enrollment in the premium student plan. It's very important that parents understand exactly what tutoring is and how it works in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy because if you desire to give your children a real classical Catholic education, it's very likely that you're going to need help. It's very likely that they're going to need help because getting through, modern K to 12 standards, that's one thing. Getting through classical Catholic standards, that's really something else. If you look at, our accredited high school diploma program, for example, you look over that and say, wow, this is really great to look at, but how in the world are we going to do that? And to be honest, most homeschool families will not be able to do that without some expert help. And that's really what tutoring is intended to provide. So I'd like to talk a little bit about tutoring to give parents a clear sense of what's involved, how it works, why I think it's of interest to Catholic parents, and what you need to do if you want to get started. The first thing you've got to realize is when it comes to classical Catholic education, the study of the classical liberal arts and so on, I've been doing this full time for 30 years. This is what I do. This is what I do all day, every day, 12 months a year. I am immersed in not only classical Catholic studies, but classical Catholic education. I manage the whole academy. I'm working with accreditation services, talking to college admissions representatives, and so on. This is what I do. For me, this is very easy. And for those of you who've attended our weekly parent meetings, you know that I know how to do this stuff. It's just what I do, and I've done it for a long time. As homeschooling families, that's usually what homeschooling parents lack. They don't have experience in education. They don't necessarily know how things work. They have goals that they'd like to pursue, but they don't necessarily know how to fulfill those goals, how to go about it. And then they've just got the difficulty of managing the complexity and changes of real life. And so it's difficult for homeschooling parents to get all of that done, to understand. And then as they figure it out, the kids are growing and we can't really experiment with our kids' education. So to have expert help that's there from the beginning to collaborate with and bring that experience and knowledge, not just experience but also resources, all the resources that I have in the academy, they can all become accessible to you and to your children. So the first thing that I would say that you should consider with respect to tutoring is just how it supplements everything that most homeschool families lack, which is just full-time expertise in classical Catholic studies and full-time access to all of the resources and tools of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, which are pretty extensive. So by establishing a tutoring relationship, we become a team that works together, and you benefit by gaining all of the help of my experience and expertise and resources. So that's obviously an important thing to consider. There's also an important relationship factor to be considered. One of the things that your kids are going to need as they're studying is they're going to need to be pushed. They're going to need to be challenged and encouraged because there's a lot of work to do and it's very difficult. Very difficult for the kids to do. They don't understand the goals. They don't understand, why these studies are beneficial, and they need a lot of help with motivation, accountability, encouragement, and so on. And to be honest, that support and encouragement really can't come from parents. And there's an important reason for that. I'm not saying parents aren't able to provide it, but it's not good for parents to provide it. Because what happens in a homeschool family is that the kids are with their parents all the time. The parents are, both, mom or dad and schoolmaster and guidance counselor and school principal and disciplinarian. The parents serve all of these roles, and the children just don't get the advantage of being able to enjoy life with parents because their parents are their teachers. I mean, imagine living with your school teachers. Imagine living with your school principals, just never getting a break from that relationship. It's very difficult. And so what normally happens is either parents are very strict about school and they ruin the parent-child relationship, or in order to save and protect that parent relationship, they go very easy on schooling. And either case, both of them are bad extremes. The solution to that is to have a third person involved, the schoolmaster involved, who can play the role of the bad guy. He can push the kids, challenge the kids, keep the kids accountable, but you can turn him off. He's around for scheduled times. There's a an anticipation of meeting and accountability with the tutor or schoolmaster. But it's not this constant, overwhelming source of stress in a child's life. It's good for the child, it's balanced, it's limited, and the child enjoys that safe and comforting relationship with his parents. I'm perfectly content to play the role of the bad guy as the schoolmaster because the kids need it. It's just like having a coach in sports. It's the coach's job to get the kids in shape and to get the kids to play hard and play together and win. You need a coach with that intensity to get that benefit out of the activity. It can't be the parents 24 hours a day. And so when you enter into that tutoring relationship, you bring a third person into, your family life who can play that role, have that good influence, but also protect those relationships. That's an important aspect of tutoring that I think often gets overlooked. Then there's the relationship that's able to be developed between me and the student. As I said before, I'm immersed in classical Catholic studies 24 hours a day. Whenever I'm awake, I'm working on classical Catholic education. That's just what I do. Plus, in my own vocation, I'm a lay Dominican. I'm just immersed in theological studies, daily prayer, philosophical studies, all of this stuff. It's just what I do. It's my vocation. And so when a student is given the opportunity to have a relationship with a tutor like me, it gives the student a place to go with questions about his studies, detailed questions about his lessons, a place to go where his studies are appreciated in a way that maybe dad, who's busy with his own career, can't provide that same kind of relationship and appreciation for the challenges of daily studies and so on. That's the role of a tutor, to develop that intellectual, maybe even spiritual relationship with a student, and to be there to encourage, to support, to explain, to teach, to motivate, and so on, because it's my vocation. It's my spiritual gifts are related to this work. It's just what I do. And so it's good for the student, especially when his parents have a good desire for the student to have a great education, to provide the students with the support of a tutor who can match those goals and provide the juice, as it were, to get the work done, to discuss things, to challenge the student, and so on. So it's that intellectual relationship that a student's going to need to be able to accomplish great things over a long period of time. So that's another important thing to consider. Now, outside of those relationship type issues, which are very important, it's important to understand what we can do in these tutoring meetings. What do I do with students when I meet with them? Now realize I'm the owner and director of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, so I have complete access and control over everything. I have access to all of the students' accounts, all of their courses, assignments, quizzes, every single thing they submit to the study center, I can see and review and look at and discuss with them and so on. So when we meet together, what I normally do is I start a tutoring meeting, which feels just like this. It's just me, talking with the student. And what I encourage the kids to do is come to our tutoring meetings with a list of questions, just anything that came up during the week, whether it's a quiz grade you were unhappy with, a lesson you didn't understand, a question about your studies, a question about which course you should take, whatever it may be. Just make a list of questions. And when we have our scheduled tutoring meeting, bring your notebook, bring that list of questions, and we'll just go through those items one by one. So it's a chance for the student to just get everything off his chest and get answers to his questions. If mom or dad have questions, they can add them to the list. And we just go through all of that first because we usually have plenty of time. Once we get through that stuff, either the questions lead us to do some work in order to address the issues, or we finish up with the questions and then we move on to the studies. One of the things that I do is I create study planners for students I work with, where we go through, we figure out where they're at in their studies, we figure out what courses they're enrolled in, what lessons they've completed, where they're at. I talk to the parents, find out what goals the parents have for the students, and then I sort of build that into a planner. And then every week when we meet, we open up the planner and we look and see what's going on. I can see whether the student's gotten things done over the past week, and I color code them so we can see, usually it's a green color, so we can see everything's good, where there's progress being made. If a student doesn't make progress over the course of a week, I turn that stuff yellow, and so the planner shows yellow, which means that we need to make more progress in that area. And if 2 weeks go by and a student hasn't made progress in a certain course, I turn that red. It gives the student a very easy to follow visual planner to look at and see what he needs to prioritize. It also gives the parents an easy way to look at the planner, see what the student is doing, see what the color codes and things like that, comments, see what's going on, and be able to help the student move forward week by week and just keep a simple eye on his progress. So I can develop a planner to use with the students. And then what we'll do is we'll go through the lessons that the student is working on. I'll actually sign into the student's account, look at all of his assignments, look at his grades, look at quizzes. If a student has let's say a certain quiz that let's say he got an 80% score on, but he thinks that there were a couple answers that were okay, I can go through and look through his quiz and manually correct some of the grading. If he's right and his answers were good, I can fix that stuff, clean things up. If I see that he made a mistake that was marked wrong, and really it was just a simple mistake like a typo, or he just he had the right idea but didn't articulate it clearly, I can talk with the student about that for a couple minutes and then just mark that correct in our system, add a note that I discussed that point with the student, and update his grade without him needing to retake and all that stuff. So I can work to help students through with their quiz grades and troubles that they have with the quizzes. We almost always do that in tutoring sessions. And then with assessments, you know that I've introduced this AI-powered grading system, which is really great because it gives every student who's enrolled in the academy access to scoring and feedback on any written work they do. And we're monitoring that feedback to make sure it's helpful and accurate. And so far, thank God, it has been. But that's really just intended to be a basic source of grading and feedback on written work. Helpful, but very basic, as you know if you've seen the assignment reviews. Helpful with recommending some improvements to writing and things like that, but very basic. Certainly not any sort of expert classical Catholic feedback on assignments that are submitted. But I don't intend for that grading system to stand by itself. And so when I meet with students for tutoring, we can open up some of those assignments, look over them, look at the notes that were provided by the automated grading, and then I can provide some more, expert input and feedback based on what I see, help the students with their assignments and so on. I can always correct a grade. Um, discuss an issue with the student, assess the student verbally, in our meeting, make adjustments to their grades and so on. So it makes the whole system much more human when I'm able to work with the student and go through their quizzes and assignments and things like that. So if you're looking at the system saying, man, this feels awfully mechanical, and impersonal, it is, but that's what makes it affordable and gives everyone the option to study in the academy at all. But it's not my intention for things to stop there. It's my intention for that to be supplemented with tutoring whenever possible and add that, personal aspect to the assessment, expert feedback on top of that automated feedback, be able to adjust grades and make everything more accurate. So that's really how I see the whole system working and what I intend for it as I continue to develop it. So all of that is normally done in tutoring. We normally meet for an hour, so it's plenty of time. We can get through the students' questions. Like I said, we have time to look at quizzes and assignments. We have time to go over the planner that the student is following, make adjustments. Sometimes parents hop into the meeting and ask some questions they have. Um, there's just a lot that we can do. And I think that when we're talking about homeschooling and online learning, when you add tutoring, it really adds a dynamic to that experience that the students have that makes a lot more possible for them, makes the whole experience much more enjoyable, I think, challenging, productive, makes study much more efficient and so on. Plus, when we get to time for records and reports and diplomas and transcripts, if I'm working with a student, through the school years and I know the student personally, I'm tracking his progress, that allows all of those reports and records, reference letters, and so on to just be that much more uh, personal and intimate in terms of how much I know the student, how much we've worked together. So we build that relationship over time. It allows me to work with the students, get to know the students, help the students more and more, and makes the students' experience in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy a personal experience, one that they share with me and with their parents. And we all maintain our proper roles, which I think balances things and allows all of those relationships to thrive. So the reason why I recommend tutoring so strongly is because I think that when you consider the greatness of the classical Catholic curriculum, the flexibility of homeschooling, the affordability of the program, just all the benefits of homeschooling, and add to that, the involvement of an expert full-time Catholic classicist. I'm sort of a unicorn um, in the work that I do, I think it really produces a very rare, a very special opportunity for our kids to study and accomplish great things in classical Catholic studies. And, I maintain communication with my former students, CLA students. One was chatting with me this evening. I was actually on the treadmill exercising, get a chat from a student who's becoming a priest with a religious order, and he's just getting back from England. He's asking me questions about English church history and talking about a philosophy video that I I maintain those relationships with students, and that's really a special part, not only of their homeschooling life, but also of their vocational pursuit as they move on, go to college, go to seminary, join religious communities, get married, whatever they do after their studies. We can, maintain that relationship. I can provide support and advice to students who move on, and my dream is to see those students when they get settled in their adult lives turn around and come back and pick up their studies when they left off and study together for the rest of their lives. That's really the vision that I have for the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. So that's what tutoring is about. I think it offers opportunities that are even better than what's available in private schools today. As a former private school teacher, I can pretty confidently assert that what we can do online in 2025 really can't be imitated in any private school setting if we're talking about real private schools that are actually available. So it's a great opportunity, and I really would like parents to consider it. Now, as far as what does it cost and how does it work and all that kind of stuff, any student who is subscribed to the premium student plan, which costs $100 a month, that includes access to all courses, that includes um, special tutorial resources in the study center, but most importantly, it includes tutoring. So any student who's enrolled in the premium student plan can reserve one tutoring meeting with me each week. To do that, you simply go on the Academy website, assuming you're subscribed as a premium student. Just go on the Academy website, go to the catalog under services, you'll see a private meeting. Uh, Product, item in the catalog. Just click on that. It'll take you to my tutoring meeting scheduler, and you can just pick a desired meeting time. And if you're enrolled in the premium student plan, you just enter a discount code premium and it wipes out the cost of that tutoring session. And a premium student can schedule one meeting a week. So that's 1 hour each week for us to get together, meet, discuss their studies, and so on. That's included in the premium student plan. If you're not subscribed to the premium student plan, you can simply go on that scheduler and schedule and pay for an individual tutoring session, or speak with me to arrange regular weekly meeting times if you'd like to do that. Again, if you're a premium student and you'd like to have two meetings a week, you can just pay for one meeting each week and use the free meeting as the other. So it's not expensive. I mean, the hourly rate I charge is $30 for 1 hour meeting, one-on-one like this for tutoring. In 2007, when I was a private school teacher, the rate that I was offered, and I didn't ask it, I was just paid it by parents, was $75 an hour. And that was 17 years ago. So I'm offering tutoring at a very affordable rate. It's included in the premium student plan. So I think it's affordable. I think it's reasonable for families to work with. And the only problem is that my time is limited. So that's why I'd like to make this video and explain these things because, as I said, it's August. We've got the new school year coming, and my schedule is currently open. Parents are starting to make reservations right now, actually, as we get through the summer and start getting ready for the fall. So if you're interested, if you need help with homeschooling, if you'd like for your children to receive a classical Catholic education, and it doesn't have to be all the kids, it could just be your oldest son or one of the children. I usually recommend the oldest for tutoring because that allows you to work with the littles and send the older ones to me to work with me. But it's time to consider it, to make arrangements, and give us time to have a meeting before the school year starts. We can get things organized and then hit the ground running as we head into September. So all the information that's needed on the premium student plan, on private meetings, my schedule, it's all on the website. If you have any questions, get on live chat on the study center or send me an email. My direct email is wcm@classicalliberalarts.com, or you can just always send it to mail@classicalliberalarts.com. So email or live chat. If you'd like to give me a call, the number here at the office where I work, 704-709-7174. So you can give me a call if you'd like to talk about things. But this is just open invitation. First come, first serve. As of today in August, my schedule's wide open, so there's plenty of opportunity. I'm ready to go, and if you're interested, I promise it'll be worth the effort and time that the kids put into it. And I'll use every resource I have to help them. And hopefully, as time goes on, we'll develop a great relationship, and we'll be able to do more and more together and give your children the opportunity to have a classical Catholic education in the 21st century, which is pretty amazing to think about. So, if you have any questions, get in touch. We're ready to go here. So let's do it. God bless.